Overlord Volume 6 Chapter 6 Prelude to the Royal Capital's Disturbance Part 1 Lower Fire Month, 9th month, 3rd day 1744. The door to the guest room slowly opened. Its hinges were regularly oiled, and it should have swung open smoothly, but for some reason, the motion of the doors seemed unusually sluggish and ponderous, as though the door was fighting a pressure differential between the air on the inside and the outside of the room. It was as though their speed was matching the way Sabas felt. If the door had truly read his heart, then Sabas would have much rather it had not opened at all. However, it did open, revealing the interior of the guest room to Sabas' eyes. The room was the same as always, but unlike how it usually was, there were now 4 heteromorphic beings waiting inside. One was a light blue warrior. He emitted a freezing aura and held a platinum halberd, but was otherwise motionless. One was a demon. There was no telling what schemes hid within his mocking features. Then, there was an angel in the shape of a fetus, held in the arms of the demon. And finally, please forgive my lateness. I am deeply sorry to keep you waiting. By sheer force of will, Sabas quashed the trembling in his voice. Then he bowed respectfully to the sole-seated being in the room, as though in worship. Sabas was the butler and the head of the manservants, and he occupied a position close to the top of Nazarik's hierarchy. Only one person could make Sabas bow before him in fear and awe. There could be no other. That entity was one of the 41 supreme beings, who commanded fealty that could not be contested. Ains Ulgaun. This almighty fighting force was also the ruler of the great underground tomb of Nazarik. The staff of Ains Ulgaun emanated a black aura from its place within his hand. Dim red pinpoints of light played lazily within the hollow orbits of his eye sockets. Even from his bowed position, Sabas could sense those lights sizing him up from head to toe. The movements of the air told him that Ains had waved expansively, in a leisurely manner. It is fine. Think nothing of it, Sabas. The fault lies with me, being that I did not communicate my arrival in a timely manner. But let us dispense with these pleasantries. How can you speak from over there with your head bowed? I bid you enter. Yes. Sabas's head was still lowered as he responded to the solemn voice. He looked up, and then slowly stepped forward, while a trail of frost ran down his spine. That was because his keen senses told him of carefully concealed hostility and killing intent. He slowly shifted his gaze. The 2 guardians before him did not seem to be paying much attention to Sabas. However, that was from a normal person's point of view. Sabas was abundantly aware of it. There was no trace of friendliness in the tense atmosphere. The opposite was true, in fact. Their vigilance was not the reaction one would have to an ally. Sabas could understand why they felt that way. He felt a weighty pressure upon him, and he was afraid that everyone would hear the thunderous beating of his heart. I think you should stop there. Demiurge's relaxed voice rang through the air and halted Sabas in his tracks. Sabas was some distance away from his master. It did not make speaking difficult, and when one considered the dimensions of the room, and the fact that he was meeting with a superior, it was quite an appropriate distance. However, under normal circumstances, Ains would consider Sabas to be too far away and ask him to approach. This time, Ains had not said so. This sense of separation crushed Sabas until he could no longer breathe. At the same time, this distance was the ideal range for Cositus the warrior to launch an attack. That too was another source of strain for him. Incidentally, Solution had entered the room with Sabas, but she was standing by the door, awaiting orders. Then, Ains snapped his bony fingers, though how he had done so was not apparent. A question for you, Sabas. Need I explain why I am here? There could only be one reason for that. The current situation made that very clear. No, there is no need for that. Then, I have a question which I would like you to answer in your own words, Sabas. While I did not receive a report from you concerning this matter, is it true that you picked up an adorable little pet recently? It was as he thought. Sabas' back felt like it had been impaled by several icicles. Then, he realized that he had not answered his master's question. He hurriedly replied, yes. A little slow on the reply, Sabas. Let me ask you again. Is it true that you picked up an adorable pet recently and decided to take care of it? Yes. I did take in a pet. Very good. Then, could you explain why you did not report the matter to me? Yes. Sabas' shoulders shuddered and he stared at the ground. What could he say to avoid the situation developing in the worst possible way? Ains leaned back into his throne as he watched the silent Sabas. The creaking of the chair as he did so sounded exceptionally loud in the confines of the room. What's the matter, Sabas? You seem to be sweating heavily. Shall I lend you a handkerchief? With a grand flourish, Ains produced a pure white handkerchief from nowhere. He grasped it between his index and middle fingers and tossed it towards Sabas. The handkerchief unfolded and spread in mid-air, landing gently upon the ground. You are permitted to use it. Yes. Thank you, my master. Sabas took a step towards Ains and picked up the handkerchief. Then he froze. That handkerchief is not stained with your pet's blood. I simply felt that it was unsightly to have you covered in sweat. Yes, please forgive my shameful display, Ains-sama. Sabas spread the handkerchief and wiped at the cold sweat which beaded his brow. The handkerchief absorbed such an incredible quantity of moisture that its color changed. Then, let us return to the topic, Sabas. When I sent you to the royal capital, I believe I ordered you to record any occurrence, great or small, in exacting detail, and send it to Nazarick. After all, it is difficult for one person to determine the value of information collected. Frankly speaking, I doubt you omitted a single detail when submitting your reports. Am I correct? Yes. It is as you say. Then, Demiurge, allow me to address a question to you as confirmation. After all, you have read Sabas' reports as well. Did those reports mention this adorable little pet? No, Ains-sama. I read them several times, but I saw nothing related to that subject. Very good. Then, let us use that point as a premise for my next question, Sabas. Why did you not submit a report on that matter? I wish to ask why you disregarded an order from me. Is the word of Ains-Ulgaun not enough to bind your actions? Those words shook the air in the room. Sabas hurriedly answered, certainly not. I simply believed that there was no need to trouble you with a report concerning such a small matter, Ains-sama. Silence filled the air. Sabas was bathed in murderous intent from 4 sources. They came from Cocytus, Demiurge, the angel which Demiurge held, and Solution. All 4 of them would immediately fall on Sabas if their master so ordered. Sabas did not fear death. It would be his utmost joy to die for Nazarick. Yet, the thought of being executed as a traitor terrified even the stoic Sabas. That was because there was no greater shame for those created by the 41 supreme beings than to be counted as a turncoat and subsequently eliminated. After some time, and after much sweat had beaded on Sabas' forehead, Ains spoke. In other words, all this was an exercise of your foolish judgment. Is that correct? Yes. It is as you say, Ains-sama. Please forgive my foolish mistake. I see. I believe I understand now. As Sabas lowered his head in apology, Ains' emotionless voice filtered into his ears. The fact that Ains had not ordered a summary execution slightly eased the tension in the room. However, Sabas could not relax. Before he could do so, Ains said something that made Sabas' heart lurch within his chest. Solution. Fetch Sabas' pet. Understood. The door quietly closed behind Solution, as she moved to carry out her orders. Sabas' keen senses informed him that Solution was heading away from the door. There was an audible gurgle as Sabas gulped. Ains, Cocytus, Demiurge, and that strange angel were here, for a total of 4 heteromorphic beings. While Demiurge looked vaguely human, the same could not be said of the other 3. Since none of them seemed to be taking care to hide their forms, did that mean they did not care if someone else saw them? The denizens of Nazarick had only one method to keep secrets from spreading, by killing everyone who knew them. If he had known this would happen, he would have let her go earlier. Sabas mentally shook his head. It was too late to think of that now. Soon, Sabas sensed two people approaching. They were approaching this room from the distance. What should I do? Sabas' eyes shifted and he focused on the air. Once she arrived here, Sabas would have to make a choice. And there could only be one answer he could give. Sabas' gaze moved to Demiurge, who was observing him. Then to Ains. And then he looked powerlessly at the ground. There was knocking, and then the door opened. As expected, there were two women there. They were Solution and Tsuare. I have brought her. Sabas had his back to Tsuare, but he could hear her gasp from the entrance. Was she shocked to see Demiurge, a demon in the flesh? Was she shaken by seeing Cocytus, the gigantic blue insectoid? Was she frightened by the sight of that fearsome fetus-like angel? Was she terrified by Ains, the avatar of death itself? Or was it all of the above? The Guardian's displeasure intensified as Tsuare made her appearance. That was because to some extent, Tsuare was the physical incarnation of Sabas' sins. It would seem she was trembling from the hostility directed at her. The hostility of the Guardians, who were easily the most powerful beings in this world, could instill a primal terror in the hearts of the weak. It was surprising that Tsuare had not broken down in tears by now. Sabas did not look back, but he could clearly feel Tsuare's gaze boring into him from behind. Her reservoirs of courage were derived from Sabas himself. Demiurge, Cocytus, restrain yourselves. Learn from victims' good example. As Ains' quiet voice echoed through the room, there was a change in the room's mood. No, it would be better to say that the hostility directed at Tsuare had vanished. After reprimanding the two Guardians, Ains slowly extended his left hand to Tsuare. Then he turned his palm to the ceiling, and beckoned her over. Enter, O pet human that Sabas has picked up, Tsuare. As though controlled by those words, Tsuare took step after step forward on trembling legs. That you did not choose to flee shows courage. Or did Solution tell you something? Did she say that Sabas' fate lay within your hands? Tsuare was shuddering all over, and did not answer. Sabas felt the gaze directed at his back grow stronger. Said gaze made Tsuare's will abundantly clear, more than any number of words could explain. After entering the room, Tsuare walked up to Sabas' side with no hesitation whatsoever. Cocytus shifted position to stand behind Tsuare, awaiting orders. Tsuare grabbed the corner of Sabas' coat. Sabas suddenly recalled how she had clung to his clothing in that alley. At the same time, he was filled with regret. If he had handled things better, the situation would not have come to this. Demiurge glared coldly at Tsuare, knee dash, and the sound of snapping fingers rang forth. Demiurge understood the meaning behind his master's gesture, and said no more. It is fine. Pay it no heed, Demiurge. As praise for the courage to face me without fleeing, I will forgive the rudeness she has shown to myself, the ruler of Nazareth. My sincerest apologies. Ains nodded magnanimously at Demiurge's apology. Ah yes. Ains leaned back into the chair, making it creak. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ains Ulgaun, the master of Sabas over there. Indeed. Ains Ulgaun, one of the 41 supreme beings, was the great entity who controlled every aspect of Sabas' existence, including his life and death. Being addressed by the master to whom he owed absolute loyalty was his greatest delight. Yet, for some reason, Sabas' joy was less than he had imagined. It merely made his spine tingle. It was not because of Tsuare, because upon being addressed by his master, Sabas had almost forgotten she had existed. There was another reason for that. As Sabas was pondering this matter, both sides were still conversing. I am. It is fine, Tsuare. I know a little about you, and I have no interest in learning more. Stand there and remain silent. Soon you will know why you have been summoned. Ah yes. Now then, the points of red light in Ains' eye sockets shifted. Sabas, I have a question for you. I told you not to attract attention with your actions, did I not? Yes. And despite my clear instructions to you, you got yourself into trouble because of this meaningless little woman? am I wrong? No, you are not. The word meaningless made Tsuare shudder, but Saba's only answered the question, and made no other response. At that time, did you not think you were ignoring the orders I had given? Yes. My thoughtlessness has displeased you, Ain-sama. I shall reflect upon my sins, be more careful in the future, and I shall not make the same mistake. Ag, it is fine. Huh? I said it is fine. Ains shifted, and the chair creaked once more. People are not perfect, and mistakes are to be expected. Sabas. I shall forgive this trifling mistake of yours. Thank you, Ain-sama. However, mistakes must be rectified, by death. The air in the room suddenly grew tense, and the temperature felt as though it had fallen by several degrees. No, that was not it. Only Sabas felt that way. The others, the denizens of Nazarick, remained serene and still. Sabas gulped. What did his master mean by death? No, that went without saying. The thoughts as I expected and I hope not weighed heavily on Sabas, but still, he asked, what do you mean? What I mean is that I expect you to eliminate the source of your mistake in order to wipe the slate clean. How can you be the representative of everyone else, when you leave the origin of your error untouched? You are the butler of Nazarick, and one who stands at the head of the manservants. If you do not handle the matter appropriately, Sabas exhaled. Then he took in another breath. Even when faced with a mighty foe, Sabas' breathing remained calm and regular. Yet, it was now frantic, like a small animal that had run into a predator. Sabas. Are you a loyal hound who obeys the orders of my exalted self, of the 41 supreme beings? Or are you a man who believes that your will alone is righteous? This, I do not need your answer. Show me your conclusion. Sabas closed his eyes, and then opened them again. He hesitated for only a moment. No, it would be better to say that he had spent an entire moment hesitating. This time he had spent in indecision was enough to earn the palpable ire of Cocytus, Demiurge, and Solution, people whose loyalty to the Supreme One was beyond reproach. After that long, interminable moment, Sabas finally made his decision. Diamond Suit Sabas was the butler of Nazarick. He was nothing else beyond that. His foolish hesitation had brought about these consequences. If he had pleaded with his master earlier, the outcome might have been different. All this was his fault. Diamond Suit, a hard luster filled Sabas' eyes. They gleamed like polished steel. Then, he turned to Tsuare. The hand clinging to him let go. Its fingers clutched briefly at empty air, wavering for a moment, before falling powerlessly. Tsuare looked at Sabas' face. She had probably guessed his decision by now. She smiled and closed her eyes. That was not a look of despair or fear. She had accepted what would happen next, had accepted her impending fate with all the grace of a martyr. Sabas' movements did not waver. His heart had long since descended into the abyss. In his place stood a steely servant who had pledged his utmost fealty to Nazarick. That being the case, there was no reason not to obey the absolute order handed down by his master. He had cut through his confusion. Only loyalty remained. Sabas' hand formed into a fist, and then he struck at Tsuare's head, seeking to grant her the mercy of an instant death. And then, Diamond Suit, something hard intercepted his fist. What are you doing? Why are you interfering with me? Something had blocked the fist which should have obliterated Tsuare's skull. Cocytus had reached out a hand from behind Tsuare, whose eyes were still tightly shut, and stopped Sabas' fist. Was Cocytus a traitor, given that he had blocked a strike which the Supreme One had ordered? And then, the doubts in Sabas' heart were immediately answered. Stand down, Sabas. Sabas was anxious and doubtful, but he was still halfway through another punch when he heard Ain's order. The strength he had channeled into his hand dissipated in an instant. His master had not censured Cocytus, but had instead told Sabas to stop. That indicated that he had also arranged for Cocytus' interdiction of Sabas' strike. Indeed, all this had been planned ahead of time. The fact was that his master wished to verify Saba's intentions. Tsuare timidly opened her eyes, and saw that the headman's axe which awaited her was long gone. Now that her life was no longer in danger, her wound-up emotions snapped inside her. Tsuare's body convulsed with shudders as the tears streamed from her eyes. She very nearly collapsed from the shaking of her legs, but Saba's did not reach out to support her. No, he could not. What else could he do, now that things had come to this? What right did he have, given that he had left her to her fate? Ains paid no heed to Tsuare's fear, and began addressing Cocytus. Cocytus. Was that blow intended to take that woman's life? There. Island, no doubt that it would have been instantly fatal. Then I declare that Saba's loyalty is no longer in question. Thank you, Saba's. I would not dare. Saba's bowed, his face stiff. Demiurge, any objections? I have none. Cocytus? None. Victim? Dirif Roy. I have none. Very well. Then, let us move on to the next item. Ains snapped his fingers and rose to his feet. He swept his hand grandly through the air, causing his cape to flutter. Thanks to the efforts of Saba's and the others, I feel we have gathered sufficient information. There is no reason to linger in this place. We shall vacate this property immediately, and return to Nazarick. Saba's, I will leave the disposal of this woman to you. Since I have already verified your loyalty, I will not object to whatever you wish to do, or at least, I would like to say that, but some considerations must be made before releasing her. Allowing her to go free and speak of Nazarick would be troublesome, do you not agree, Demiurge? It is as you say. While there are still unknown enemies at large, we would be best served by not allowing information about ourselves to spread. Then, what should we do? Should we not make sure of things first? Indeed, Saba's, we will decide Tsuare's fate later. I would prefer not to kill her, but I cannot guarantee that. Please keep that in mind. Saba's was hard-pressed to hide his surprise that Ains, the highest authority in all Nazarick, could not instantly resolve the matter of Tsuare's disposal. Ains-sama. Are we retreating from this house, from the royal capital, because of my mistake? Perhaps. Perhaps not. Like I said just now, I feel we have learned everything we can from this area. There would be no gain in continuing to stay here. This is a safer course of action, according to my calculations. Demiurge, I will bring Victim back. Give him to me. After taking the fetal angel, Victim, from Demiurge, Ains cast a spell. Greater teleportation. Ains flourished his cape in a theatrical fashion as he cast the spell, as though he were an actor. Then he was engulfed by a sphere of blackness which then vanished inward, taking his body with it. For a moment, Saba's stared dumbly at that overacted exit, which he had never seen before, but then he suddenly came to his senses. That's right, she looks a little tired. I would like to take her back to her room to rest. I trust there will be no problems if I take her there, Demiurge? Indeed. You have the right of it, Saba's. A thin, fiendish smile appeared on Demiurge's face, and he gracefully gestured to the door, as though to say, please, carry on. However, it is possible that Ains-sama might summon you once more, given the circumstances. I hope you will be ready for that. While I feel that there is no need to worry about that, I do not wish to go on a fox hunt in the royal capital. Please come with me. Yes, Tsuare replied hoarsely as she followed shakily behind Saba's. After leaving the room, the hallway echoed with their footsteps. The two of them walked in silence, and soon they reached the door to Tsuare's room. It was nearby, but the journey there seemed to have taken a very long time. When they reached the door, Saba's finally made up his mind and quietly said, I will not apologize. Saba's sensed Tsuare tremble from where she was following behind him. However, the fact that my master ordered me to dispose of you was my fault. If I had dealt with the matter in a better way, it would not have come to this. Saba's-sama. I am a loyal servant of Ain-sama, of the 41 Supreme Beings. Even if the same thing happens again, I will respond in the same way. So I hope you will stay in the human world and find happiness there. I will try to seek Ain-sama's approval, given that Ain-sama can modify memories. Let Ain-sama erase your unpleasant memories, and then live well. How about my memories of you, Sabe-sama? I will ask Ain-sama to erase your memories of me as well. After all, remembering me will do you no good. And what is good for me? Sabe sensed a fierce determination in Tsuare's voice, and turned around. The woman before Sabe stared defiantly at him, and although her eyes were brimming with tears, they had an unshakable look in them. Sabe felt his heart waver, and he thought about how to persuade her. It was true that Nazarick was a wonderful place, and one could say it was a land blessed by the gods. But the only ones who thought that way were Sabe's, and the other people who had been created by the 41 Supreme Beings, as well as the vassals of the great underground tomb of Nazarick. Sabe did not think that human beings, who lacked talent and power, could find happiness in that land. Neither did he think that Domain would welcome low-value life forms like humans. Indeed, she would not be able to live there without the protection of his Supreme Master. Therefore, Sabe told her, I want you to find happiness in the human world. I have already found happiness. It is by your side, Sabe-sama. So please, take me with you. Sabe felt that Tsuare was quite pitiable as he heard her ironclad statement. You seem to have found happiness in a small thing, but it was merely the living hell before that which numbed your soul. She had seen the worst the world could offer, so she had taken joy in even a slightly less wretched environment. That was all. However, Tsuare laughed at his observation. I do not feel that this place is hell. I can eat my fill here and I have a decent job. I grew up in a small village and life was hard there. For a moment, Tsuare glanced into the distance. Then she recovered and looked straight at Sabe's. Our stomachs cried out in hunger, and no matter how hard we worked the fields, our Lord took almost everything and left us with precious little to eat. In addition, we were nothing more than toys to our Lord. No matter how much I cried and screamed, he kept laughing as he raped me. He laughed at me. I understand. Tsuare's smile was twitching as Sabe's pulled her over, enfolding her within his embrace before gently putting an arm over her trembling shoulders. Just like before, Sabe's could feel Tsuare's tears soak his clothes as she broke down. What she had seen and lived through was not all of the world. Yet, to Tsuare, that was the sum total of the human experience. Sabe's fell into thought. What should he do? No matter how he thought about it, there was only one answer. But that answer would anger his master. It might even make him order Tsuare's death. You might die. If I must die by the hand of Sabe-sama, by the hand of the one who showed me kindness, when I should have died in that place. Tsuare looked up to him. The look on her face helped Sabe's make up his mind as well. I understand, Tsuare. I will plead with Ain-sama to let me take you to Nazarick. Thank you. It is too early to thank me. If I plead for you, Ain-sama may order me to kill you. I am already prepared for that. Is that so? Sabe's let the strength fade from the arm on his shoulder, but Tsuare refused to leave. She clung tightly to Sabe's clothes, looking up to him with dewy eyes. There seemed to be a look of expectation in those eyes. That was what Sabe's instincts told him, but he did not know what she was hoping for. Still, he remembered that he had to confirm one thing first. Allow me to make sure this. You have no attachment to the human world? Do you not wish to return to your home? Even being taken to Nazarick did not entail being completely separated from human society. That was because he was not taking Tsuare there to be a prisoner. However, that possibility could not be entirely ruled out. I would like to see my little sister again. But more than that, I don't want to remember all the things in the past.